All right, welcome back. Last week when we started off, I told you that I previewed this trial a little bit, and I thought at the time we would be trying 5 defendants for murder with one victim. The judge made the decision to sever or cut apart that trial and make us try one at a time. So we did go forward against Trenaz Whittington. He was 20 years old from Conway. He was convicted after a 4-day trial, and the judge, DeBerry, gave him 45 years. The allegations in this case is that this was simply a hit, a lick, what they call it, a robbery, and Trenaz and his group pulled in front of, they had been monitoring and following the victim for a while, pulled in front of his car, jumped out, and immediately went to shooting. There were several other people in the vehicle that gave statements as to who done it. There was also physical evidence. From our standpoint, the state standpoint, it was not the hardest trial in the world, but anytime you got 4 or 5 defendants, you know, it's complicated. And we had a judge to rule earlier that the case would go together, all 5. That's why I told you what I did. Judge DeBerry made the decision on Monday morning to split the trial, which was well within his discretion. It means we got several more trials out of this case to go. But Trenaz Whittington, 20 of Conway, went to trial and received 45 years. In that, for murder, it is day for day. It means you can add today's Friday's date to plus 45, and that is where he will get out. There's no credit at all, not even 15%, like you would have in no parole cases. Murder is day for day. So there was another case that came out last week. This ended in a plea, but it was a juvenile that was in family court, and he was only looking at up until his 21st birthday for where he was at. The facts of that case is that Riley Ed Eckerd, at the time of this, was 16. Now he is 18, but at the time that it happened, he was 16, which is a juvenile. He and his dad and another guy went to take money from a drug dealer. Now, they didn't take a weapon with them, but it looked like they were gearing up to do a strong arm robbery. The drug dealer had a gun, shot the dad, and the son Riley took the gun away from the drug dealer and shot him with it, killing him. And Riley received a sentence. He pled straight up to manslaughter, which is mandatory minimum of 1 year, goes up to 30 years. He said, I did what I did. I'm the one that did the shooting. Here's why I did it. And the judge gave him 10 years. Now, you hear it all the time, the devil is in the details. That sort of helps to explain where you, in Trenaz Whittington's case, you pull up with guns a-blazing, 5 people shooting at one guy who is unarmed and kill him. In another case, you go and you are unarmed, your dad gets shot, you take the gun away and you shoot the person that shot your dad, even though you were in the wrong for going with them to start that robbery. I'm not defending either, or both of them are in prison where they belong. I'm telling you the reason that there would be 45 years on a murder versus 10 years. That was a juvenile that reacted after his dad had gotten shot, and he pled asking the judge to give him anywhere from 1 year to 30 years. The judge heard those same facts and gave him 10 years. We don't get to do the sentencing. All we can do is prosecute the case. But with those facts, that is what it is. And finally, there was a drug dealer from Georgetown that was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Trevon Lawrence, 23, of Georgetown, pled guilty to trafficking heroin and received 10 years. He could have faced up to 25 on that charge, but he received a 10-year sentence. Adam Harrelson from our office pled that case, had it ready for trial, but Mr. Lawrence pled guilty and probably shaved some of the years off the back end of that by doing that. Now, again, you will get, and we get comments all the time, and I try to address them. I am not trying to justify anything. I'm simply telling you the truth. You mean you can get as much time for killing somebody, for selling, trafficking heroin, as you can for killing somebody? Depending on the facts, yeah, you sure can. And let's don't get it twisted. If you keep up with any of the stats, heroin's killing people too. So people that sell heroin and traffic heroin is killing people also. We are trying to do the best that we can with the cases that we have. But yes, a lot of things go into each one of these cases. And I'm not going to ever sit here and tell you we always get it right. What I am going to tell you is that was what happened on these 3 cases that took place last week. Some of those were on the judge, but those are the facts that went along with it. And it really doesn't appear, when you narrow it down, to be a murder. It is truly a voluntary. The man's, he shouldn't have been there. He shouldn't have been trying to rough up a drug dealer. But when the drug dealer shot his dad, you know, emotions get higher, and that's where the voluntary manslaughter part come in. Anyway, there's always a couple of sides to each of these. We just try to report what took place in court to try to be as transparent as we can on each of these cases. So we'll get together and talk about plea, how pleas work next week.